Sky Blue Fans TV. For the fans, by the fans.
Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fans TV. I'm Claudio and I'm hosting tonight. Ken and Miles are elsewhere, but never fear. We have some fantastic fans coming on and we'll be chatting about the Maidstone match, the FA Cup draw, and of course previewing West Brom, which is of course a massive clash tomorrow at the Hawthorns. And let's hope we can hit the heights we're expected, especially as we're playing at the highest venue in the UK for a football match. Let's hope it's not windy, because it is really windy up there when it is windy. I think if you are, well, you can't see us on Facebook because for some reason there seems to be an issue tonight. So hopefully you've realised quickly to get onto YouTube. So let's get the team on the screen. We'll start with Victoria. Good evening, Vicky.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, thank
How
you.
are you feeling?
Happy. Good.
Oh yeah, it's good. We can talk about the cup draw as well, lads. That's I'm pleased about that. Anyway, we'd like to also welcome onto our show for the first time, performer, writer, director, producer of original theatre and film, multi-talented. She's one of our own. It's Hannah Kamari. Good evening, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. You looking forward to the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tight run-in. I think we do have a good chance of making the playoffs. I'm just wondering whether I actually want to go through that again, though, to be honest. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be an exciting end to the season.
Yeah, I mean, Miles has actually said that he doesn't fancy going if he gets to the playoff final, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah.
I mean, during the evening. Sorry, Vicky.
I was going to say, we say that now. We'd be there if it happened, wouldn't we?
I know. During the evening, we will be talking to you about your projects, past and present, and your love for Coventry City and where it all started, because I think it's really fascinating, really interesting. Also, last but not least, he's been on before. We can't get him off now. It's Jack from the Lewington and Warwick Coventry City supporters group. How you doing, Jack?
Yeah, good, thanks. How is everyone?
Yeah, I think we're all doing fine. I think we're all battling on. I think it's what I was just thinking of watching the cup games. I know we'll talk about Maidstone first, but watching all those matches last night and trying to work out who you want to get through, and basically nobody did that I wanted to get through. It's like all the main players are there, us basically. So that's going to be fascinating in weeks to come. I want to get some of the little bits and bobs. First of all, statue appeal, George and John Curtis statue appeal. If you can, it'd be great to get some more donations and keep it going. And get the statue up for these fantastic legends of our club. Also, we've got Spot the Ball. Ooh. So, Vicky, have you got a pen and paper?
Yeah.
Now, this is a bit of a challenge, this one. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, spot the ball. If you've got any ideas. So, Hannah, starting with you, how many? Do you know where the ball might be?
I am going to go with 5. I've picked it completely at random. 5.
Is there multiple balls or is it just one?
I can't say, Jack.
Well, I'll go number 9.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical about number 11 as well.
Okay. And Vicky, you can jot down some numbers or number, I should say.
Hint, hint.
Was that a clue?
Right, we've also got Guess the Gate from the Maidstone match. And the gate was 26,857. Cov Andy's the winner with 26,666. He was actually second because I won it again. I think I got the right answer again. That's 2 weeks running. It's I know. I think people are beginning to think that I'm actually counting in the people coming into the venue, but it's pure luck.
And you won the spot the ball as well from the.
I know. That's yeah. I know what's going on. And of course, let's get this one up as well. In the club shop, the new shirts. I believe the blue one is sold out already.
Oh no!
I think it has. Yeah, a lad at work was saying it's sold out. I mean, I've got the one the year after. For some reason, didn't have Granada bingo on it. Right. So before we get on to talking about Maidstone, let's look at the goals.
By Greenwich through to Sims, big chance. Coventry City have the lead. Ellis Sims strokes them in front with his 7th goal of the season inside the first 10. Palmer. Good strength by Palmer, subtlety too with the pass, and it's in. Ellis Sims has got another one. Took it superbly well. Good play by Casey Palmer, but an outstanding finish. Header will drop to Palmer. Pushed away. Sims. Hat-trick. First half hat-trick for Ellis Sims. Coventry 3, Maidstone United 0.
Trying to count how many substitutes they'd actually made. He couldn't work out whether or not they had any more available.
Godden, nicely done. Fabio Tavares! And Coventry City have a 4th goal. Kelly. O'Hare, lovely flick. Shooting chance if he can sort his feet out for Godden, and it has to be a 5th. It's tucked into the back of the net again. 2 goals very late on for Fabio Tavares, and it's Coventry City 5.
That looks good, doesn't it? I know they're 6th tier, but still, come on. It's. I was actually glad we scored the 2 late goals because I thought 3-0. It felt, well, it was emphatic anyway. Really, it was over. I thought by the first half, but I think 5 just made it. It felt like it was a proper performance. I mean, going on the formation. If I start with you, Hannah, I mean, tinkering with the defence. Do you think he should do it? I mean, yet again, he brings players in and out, or would you just prefer he starts sticking with the same back 4 now?
I mean, I think I trust Mark Robbins' judgment, like game by game, and I trust him to kind of do what he feels right. I mean, there's pros and cons of both systems, isn't there? I guess it all depends on the results that you're getting, really.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that he left Kitchen out. What do you think, Vicky? That was.
Yeah. I thought Kitchen came. I'm not
Kitchen
remembering.
played,
I thought
Did he
Kitchen came
play,
back
did
in. Yeah.
Yeah, Kitchen played.
Yeah. He came back in.
so-
I was thinking, was that the wrong game? I'm thinking, I'm not sure I saw Kitchen in front of me.
Who did he leave out then?
Binks was left out. Milan
Sorry,
was left
Binks.
out.
Yes, sorry, Binks. I was surprised. Yeah, sorry, I meant Binks. Yes. Were you surprised he changed it again in the middle then? Yes.
Not so much about Kitchen. I was slightly surprised he left Milan out. But it worked, didn't it? So, yeah. I agree with Hannah really. I trust Robbins, and I think most times he gets it right. And the times that we think he gets it wrong, it's all easy to say that in hindsight, isn't it? I'm sure that he made the decision for the right reason at the time. So yeah.
I think the problem is, well, it just shows you he swapped it around that many times. I couldn't remember who he brought in and took out then. So, I mean, let's face it, the other week I picked a team with 13 players, didn't I? Do you remember? So, well, midfield then, Victoria, he brings back Kelly. Now, he definitely played Kelly, didn't he? That's,
Yeah, Kelly was definitely that.
I don't think that was a surprise, but it was good to see him back. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I think that it was a nice opportunity for him to get some game time, wasn't it? I know a lot of people are saying that he should stick in for West Brom, but I don't know. I mean, I think that it's one thing to have a good game against Maidstone. It's another thing to have a good game against West Brom, isn't it? But I thought it was nice to see him. Nice for him to get some minutes, because there's a good chance we will need him between now and the end of the season to play at least some football. So yeah, that was good.
And I mean, the old saying was, he never gives the ball away, and yeah, but not very often. And he plays it safe, but he plays it the right way. I think he just tries to keep us ticking over. I mean, it's funny because Josh Eccles tries to do that, but he gets slated for it for some reason. Which is a shame, really, because he's a good, he's a young lad and deserves a bit of backing by fans.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, looking at the forward line. Jack, obviously Sim's got his hat trick. What did you make to the hat trick?
It was 3 finishes that I know they've said it in the past. He didn't really have to think about. You know, he mentioned that Mark Robbins mentioned that after the QPR game. The Stoke one again was sort of instinctual. So if you feed him the ball, he's going to score. I think that's the case. Palmer, I think, was unbelievable playing those balls in, and I know the third one was a rebound shot. But with Palmer behind him, or with even O'Hare behind him, if they're playing the right balls through the defence, I'd back Sims to score pretty much every time. He seems to be a nuisance for defenders as well, whether that's pushing past them, running through the lines, or even if that's with his back to goal, holding the ball up. He seems to be a nuisance, and his confidence can only grow. And I think a hat-trick, and it's his first ever senior hat-trick, so let's really hope he can kick on with a bit of recent form.
I thought he was quite aggressive in a positive way as well. And his second goal, don't care who you're playing against, was a great finish. That was a quality finish.
Yeah.
But what about? I mean, they keep calling him Tavares. I thought it was Tavares, but I don't know. It feels like when I watch Fabio play, it's all like he's rushing too much. You feel like he just needs to calm down a bit, get hold of the ball, and play a bit. I mean, he took his 2 goals. He did what he had to do, and the first one was well taken. I don't know. Do you feel he's got to improve really to stay at the club? I think.
I don't feel like he's championship ready. I feel like this was his perfect chance. I know he was thrown in at Stoke, who were in poor form, and people say he was bad. I don't think he did good personally, but he didn't really get much time on the ball or chance. I mean, against Maidstone, he did a little bit more. I still don't think he was brilliant. His first goal, his first touch, he tried to push out to his right foot and messed it up and ended up hitting it with his left. The second goal was a tap into an empty net. So credit where credit's due, he's finished them. He's put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what we want him to do. Did he have to do much for them? Not really. And when he did, it wasn't perfect. So I'm not sure he's ready for this level. I think a loan move out to a League One side might do him good, but then we've got to back him for 2 more years if that's the case.
Yeah, he probably didn't go out on loan because I think Haji Wright was injured at the time, wasn't he, during the January transfer window? But he does feel like he's a sprinter who needs to be better at playing football. I know it's a bit harsh, but he seems too quick at the minute. It's frustrating to watch because he's got the pace, he can get past somebody. And a couple of times I felt he didn't want to go past the player. I mean, that's obviously a confidence thing, but I still think he could be exciting for us. We're going to have a look and see what comments we got. Right, let's get his comments up. No, I bumped into Neil outside the tavern, and he said his name isn't as posh as I made it sound like. Because I said it was Neil Jacques, and he was going, no, it's just Jake's. He's probably going to tell me it's Jack's now, but I can't remember. Anyway, evening, Neil. Even though just an idea, if indeed both the final and semis are at Wembley, what about the quarters at a neutral ground?
It'd be
Clutching
hard,
at
wouldn't it?
straws.
Well, that's all guessing on the balls. 4, 6, 2, and 19. 4 balls.
Paul's changed his mind about 20 times, so half the comments are just Paul and his like various options.
Got a Nation Radio commentary. Played in yellow shirts in the Charity Shield v Everton. That's right. Sky Blue Sam. Mason played football and didn't kick us off the pitch, so fair play to them. Almost wanted them to score in the second half. I did say that to my son, actually. Says I'm glad that they've turned up and not tried to kick us all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm gutted for their manager because he wanted to play Wolves. That gallows humour, isn't it? Stat of the day. Let's have a stat. You like your stats, don't you? Paul Cuttingford. Stat of the day. Tavares, all 3 goals for City were on the same date 2 years apart. That's true. Against Preston, the goal against Preston.
So we're going to wait till next year.
Yeah, to get 3 next year. So let's have a little chat with Hannah. Now, as I've mentioned at the beginning, Hannah is a playwright, producer. You do stuff in the theatre. The list is endless. But I mean, famously, you wrote a play called England, which was based on your experiences of watching football in the 90s as a mixed race teenager. In the last 30 years, do you think things have improved? Have they stayed the same? Have we got much further?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think obviously like my lens is quite different now, because when I was going to Highfield Road in 96, 97, which is when my plays are set, I was like 14. So I was a child, and I can't say that my personal experiences were like totally negative at all, and that's not what the play is about either. Like, really, for me in football at that time, I did find something that really helped me to feel like I did belong somewhere, which was a bit weird because there wasn't many girls going to football, first of all, at that time, and especially not like mixed race ones. But obviously I did hear things and see things, not always at Coventry, and have things improved. Well, I think another big difference between then and now is that we didn't have social media in those days. So while I think potentially things in person in grounds have improved, and obviously not perfect, like we can think about what happened at West Brom and Wolves a few weeks ago, which was not great to see. But I think social media it's kind of brought in a whole new type of trolling, discrimination. And sometimes it can feel a bit like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I might have got that metaphor wrong, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think we are moving in the right direction. I think football has become a bit more inclusive and welcoming. I do think we're moving in the right direction. So I think things have changed, some for good, maybe some not for so good. Like, I would like to see more controls on social media personally in terms of accounts and things.
Vicky, I presume you started going in the 90s. Is that right?
Yeah, 93 was my first game.
Yeah. So how did you? Because I mean, obviously you know my background. I went years ago, but my sister is 5 years older than me, and she never told me this, but she hated the fact that my dad took me to the football and rarely took her, because I mean I went in the early 70s, so I was 5 when I first went.
Yeah.
And he felt it wasn't a place for girls to go to because it was a bit dangerous, which, in all honesty, when I look back and I see some of the footage, it was really dangerous. And I think he just thought, I can cope with a 5-year-old, but I can't cope with looking after my daughter as well.
Yeah.
And she always felt like she missed out. So, I mean, obviously, if it was in the 90s, it would have been a lot different. So how did you find it? Because obviously it was nothing like it was in the 70s.
No, I mean, ironically, I actually went with my mum because my dad doesn't like football at all. So we went as 2 like females. My mum used to take me to matches, and I think that was the beginning of maybe a movement to integrate more women into football, because there was they used to have like ladies' day once a season where you got a ticket for £5 or something cheap. So they were doing more to try and involve like female fans and get more people there. So I never really gave it a thought, particularly. I never, at Coventry particularly, I've never felt unwanted or that I did never play. So yeah, there's never been a massive issue for me, and yeah.
I've got a program where we had a ladies' day. I think it's 1980, 81, as far back as that.
Yeah.
'Cause they've got roses on the program. I think it was against Bristol City. So you're right. We did used to do something. We did actually make an effort.
I think Coventry City were probably fairly progressive in that way. I'm sure there's some clubs that are further behind. I think we were quite a progressive fan base. So that's
I didn't know that. That's like amazing to hear, to be honest. And I would agree. You know, I've never felt really unsafe or unwelcome at Coventry. Like, my situation is a bit different because I've moved around a lot during my life, and I've been to many different like football grounds, and like some I've gone to regularly when I've been living in different places. So I've had like a whole spectrum of experiences at like from non-league to kind of Premier League clubs. And they have all been really different. But yeah, and I'm not just saying it because they are my team, and I'm not saying that, like, you know, there's nothing bad happens at Coventry, but I would say in general, and I didn't know that about the ladies' days, but that's great to hear that the club were doing that as far kind of back as like the 80s.
Yeah, I've also got a program from the 70s, which, I mean, I shouldn't laugh because it is hilarious, because it's in the program, we've got ladies page, and in there's a load of recipes.
Oh my God.
I know, it's classic 1970s recipes. I mean, it doesn't go as far as how to iron your husband's shirts.
Get a cake in the oven. When you get home, get a cake in the oven.
Yeah, and it is funny, and I've posted them previously because it's just hilarious what's in there. I'm thinking, oh no. And of course, the famous program where we had the Sky Blue Girl, where on the back page was a woman in a bikini, basically, and that was for 2 seasons. That's true. Yeah, but a lot of them, it's a famous program, the Sky Blue Girl, basically, and you could vote on who was your favourite. But it was the 70s, and of course, Miss World was I think the second biggest watched program in the world at the time. So it's just, you know, I think that in some ways I'm glad we've moved on from that. Definitely. I mean, I was born in Warwickshire to Italian parents who migrated in the 50s to England. And personally, I couldn't see myself as being English, because although majority of my mates reckon I should support England because I was born here, and you can see the Italian flag behind me, I get a lot of flack for this. I chose Italy because it's more than just where you were born. So in your play, it was about defining Englishness, wasn't it? And so what was the outcome, the conclusion to that?
I don't think there really was a conclusion as such. I think I definitely do think of myself as being English. I don't know if I always have or if I didn't have an awareness, but I think maybe because both your parents are Italian, maybe you had like a very strong cultural identity in your house. Whereas for me, my mum similarly came here in 1960 from India. My dad moved down from Glasgow to Rugby, which is where I was born, although he didn't live with us. But so I didn't really grow up with a strong cultural identity. Like, my mum didn't speak Punjabi to me. Most of my friends were kind of white English. So I think I sort of struggled with that because obviously I do have brown skin. So it was kind of maybe apparent to people that I wasn't fully English. And I think football really helped me to feel that sense of belonging, as I was saying earlier. I think that's what football really can be at its best, when it does really bring people together and can kind of cross barriers and things. But in answer to your question, that is a lot what the play is about, because I remember in Euro 96 watching England versus Scotland with my dad and thinking, oh, I should be supporting Scotland, because my dad is quite patriotic and we used to go to Scotland a lot. I think you just have to find a way of defining it for yourself. That's such a cop-out answer. And I think it's changing all the time, isn't it, really, when you look at different history of migration, like you and I are born here, and I don't have children, but you do. So then how does your son, like, how does he feel about it? And I think we've had so much different migration recently, haven't we? So I think it's something that's constantly changing, and maybe it's down to the individual, and maybe ultimately it's not that important. Not that it's not that important, but it's kind of, it's just up to how you feel yourself.
Yeah, because I mean, I follow Italy like I follow Coventry City. It's another football team, more than anything. But
At all, you don't follow England at all.
well, this is interesting you say that, because up until I was about in 1980, my dad took me to the Euros. He took me out of school. I don't know how he used to do things like this, and I went to the Euros in Italy, and I went with my Admiral England kit on, and I remember sitting in the Turin Stadium playing Italy. We lost 1-0. Marco Tardelli scored. 80,000 Italians stood up. I didn't, because I was supporting England, and apart from all the nutters behind the goal who were supporting England as well. And it was really weird because my cousins always, they used to call me and my sister the English ones. That's how they used to refer to us, Now, when I started work, it was really weird. I was 16, and there was guys there whose parents would have been in World War II. We're talking 1981, so their parents would have fought Italians and all the rest of it. So you used to get all the jibes, the usual stuff about, I mean, there's lots of people watching, they'll know the jokes, 1 forward gear, 4 reverse gears in the tanks and all that sort of thing. Italians waving the white flag and all that lot. And of course, I started work in 81. 82 was the World Cup. And I thought, that's it then. I'm following Italy from now on. And of course, Italy won the World Cup. So I got even more heaps of it. But by then, I'm working factory life. It sort of, it beefs you up a bit, basically, and you get used to it. And it's not like I hadn't been going to football matches, so I knew what the crack was. And really, since then, I'd always backed Italy. But I've never wanted England to lose unless they play Italy. So it's a strange scenario. My son's the same. My son will follow Italy because of me, but I know he'll go with all his mates to watch England play. So it's like that. I mean, but yeah, it's interesting. Of course, I think. Did you do your play at the Art Centre, Warwick Uni?
Yeah, I did it there for 2 nights actually. One of which was my birthday, so that was a really special performance, because I started going there when I was a kid. So to be back there performing a show about Coventry was really cool, and quite a few Coventry fans in the audience as well. So yeah, it was really good. Yeah,
I feel terrible. I live 5 minutes from Warwick Uni, so I can't believe I missed that. That's really, really annoyed about that. Yes. Right, let's get some more comments up. I think we might have a few. This is from Craig Robinson, who lets us advertise our events on the Sky Blue Fans forum on Facebook, actually, which is apparently for the sensible people. He won't allow anything malicious on there. I know he got rid of a load this week. So good evening, guys and gals. Hope we are well. Sims scoring his first hat-trick should do his confidence a world of good. Sims and KP obviously have a connection between them. I didn't realise how well he put the ball through Palmer until I saw the replays. Yeah, they're very good passes, weren't they?
Yeah.
Two official assists, and then obviously the shot for Sims' hat-trick. So 2.5 assists, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Sorry about that. This is from Dave Saunders. Yes, Sims need to show more passion when scoring. I just think he's a cool dude. I just don't think he's not that sort of person. I think he's just a bit chilled, isn't he?
Yeah, and it came across when we saw him at the tavern as a little bit shy as well. So I don't think he's going to ever be overly demonstrative. I just don't think that's the sort of person he is.
I was so laid back, wasn't he, in that interview at the tavern? I mean, he was almost lying down, wasn't he, at one stage? What was weird was the fact he was on with Godden, and I just kept thinking, it's strange having 2 guys who are obviously going to be playing for their places, aren't they? Wayne Vaughan, Tavares is a striker and was better when he played more centrally, but definitely needs minutes. We've got one here.
One player to have. especially because if it means people like Sims, Wright and Godden are getting less minutes and Tavares is getting them, I'm sure all three of them think they should be getting precedence over Tavares, given their stature, the money we paid for them. So it might fire them up a little bit if Robbins keeps picking Tavares.
I mean, going back to the Maidstone game, I mean, we won 5-0. I mean, was the scoreline flattering? What do you guys think? Do you think, Vicky, was it flattering in the end?
To a degree, I think. Once it got to 3-0, I felt like we just sort of stepped back a bit and we didn't really push. So the second half, like we were in control, weren't we? Like the whole game, I never really felt like we were under any like pressure of them coming back into it. But we took it fairly easy once Sims had got his hat trick, I thought. So they were slightly unlucky, I think, for us to got the 2 goals at the end, and 5-0 was probably a little bit harsh on them. I thought.
What do you think, Jack?
I'm mixed. I think the first half we could have had a few more. I think we had more than 10 shots on target in total. I know 2 of those would have been the saves that caused the rebounds for 2 goals, but I feel like in the first half we definitely could have scored more. I think we definitely took our foot off the gas second half and managed to eke out 2 more goals towards the end. So I think it flattered us, but it didn't at the same time for both those reasons.
Yeah.
Are you agreement with that, Hannah? Or do you?
Yeah, I don't think it was overly flattering. I think it was a really professional performance, and I was really relieved by that, because those games can just, we've seen it happen. Obviously, that's why people love the FA Cup so much. So I think it was great to see that we did put in such a professional performance. But I know what Vicky's saying as well. Like after 3-0, maybe we did take our feet off the gas a bit. But I think it was a kind of a fair and nice to get a good solid 5-0 against a team. Like, no disrespect to them, because they totally turned up. But yeah.
It's really strange, because before the game, I was saying to my lad, the one thing we need to do, let's just get a nice 3-0 lead and just chill out and relax. And of course it happens, and then you're bored. Nothing's happening. They've killed the game. You're thinking, oh no. And I thought, this is what it must be like to watch Man City all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
Because obviously, there's so many games they've played where basically the game's over, isn't it? I thought, wow. But in the end, I'm glad we got the 2 late goals, because then you think, okay, well, the record books will show 5-0, and that's probably what it should have been.
Yeah.
Although I did get nervous in the first half when they had it in our box a couple of times. You think, I think we're trying to give them the ball and have a go at goal, really. It was a bit strange. But I think 5-0, it looked good, didn't it, when they showed all the results last night of the FA Cup matches, and ours said 5-0. So I was pleased with that.
We scored the most goals of the teams left now, haven't we? I think we've got about 16. No other team that's left in has scored as many goals in the competition. So that's a nice stat as well.
Well, we're going to go to an advert shortly, and then after the adverts, we'll talk about the draw.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.
Well, welcome back, everybody. That was our ads there. This is Sky Blue Fans TV. I'm Claudio. We've got Vicky, Jack, and Hannah with us tonight. And I've just noticed the cat's trying to get into the dreamy tin. He does my head in, that cat does. So he might be on the screen in a minute. We've got, of course, the FA Cup draw, and there it is. Now, before I get your thoughts on this, I did mention about 48 hours ago that everybody we'd beaten so far in the cup was wearing some sort of yellow top And I think I put on Facebook, "Bring on the Wolves," and here we go. They're here. We're playing Wolves, and they're going to be playing their goal kit. For some who are old enough to remember, this was a proper rivalry, Wolves and Coventry, throughout the 60s and early 70s. And it was all to do with 1967 and obviously trying to win promotion and get into the Division 1. Personally, as a draw, I mean, I wanted a home draw. And if I had a home draw, I wanted Wolves or Brighton because I was looking at what was left in it. And I want to get to Wembley. I don't care. I don't want to play Liverpool. I don't want to play Man City. I'm not interested in Man United. I don't want to go all the way up to Newcastle. Maybe I'm being selfish. I mean, myself, Vicky and Hannah are probably thinking the same and thinking, we've seen all these clubs. I just want to get to Wembley for a semi-final. And if you can't play any of those at home, play Wolves away. I mean, it's a tough game. They're 9th in the table. They've got 5 players currently out of their defence injured, 3 main midfielders missing, and they're still 9th in the Premier League. They're a strong, strong side. So what are your thoughts, Vicky?
I think pretty much the same as you, really. We'd spoken, hadn't we, that we would like a home draw, so that was a slight disappointment. But I think of all the teams left in, it's a game that we've got a shot at. I mean, if we were going up to the Etihad, that's the end of our cup win, isn't it? This is a game that we can give a good shot. And I think I'm like you. I mean, I've been to all these grounds pretty much. I mean, unfortunately not the Etihad, but most of the other ones. But I was too young for the cup run. So a nice cup run, like in the FA Cup. I mean, obviously we've done like the Checker Trade and stuff, but a nice long FA Cup run is something I've never experienced before because we don't do it very often. And so to me, if we could get to the semi-final, that would be something I've never been to an FA Cup semi-final match for Coventry City before. So that's much better. So I'm a bit like you. I'm being selfish too, and that's my dream as well. And I think that of all the teams that are left in, Wolves is the best one for us. I mean, I was hoping that Blackburn were going to turn over Newcastle and we could get them because I thought that would be a good game. But unfortunately, most of the teams sort of failed to do any sort of upset, didn't they? So yeah.
Well, Blackburn would have been ideal, wouldn't it? You get about 7,000 fans in their stand. That'd be perfect.
So I'm quite proud of that. But yeah.
Were you happy with the draw, Hannah?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Vicky said. Like when I saw, I think it was the Emirates, the FA Cup page or whatever, tweeting today the badges of everyone left. It is a bit like, wow, this is like we're actually 3 games away from Wembley kind of thing. I mean, from like the final, and the fact that the semi-final is at Wembley. I think it's a good, if we couldn't get it at home, I think Wolves away is a pretty decent choice. Not to say that it's going to be easy by any stretch, of course, but like you say, if we go to the Etihad, I mean, it's game over, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. You never know, but come on.
Yeah, he starts putting a serious team out now, doesn't he? I mean, it looked pretty serious against Luton. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit selfish. I've not been to any of I've been to Leicester this season, but the other 6 teams, I've not been to any of them. So I was hoping for a nice away day from a selfish point of view. But I think looking at the 7 teams that are left in the competition, do we want Leicester? No, because of the 2 games we've had this year. I know we've outplayed them twice, but we don't want to play Leicester again. I think out of the remaining 6, Wolves is the easier option, I suppose. I know they're above Chelsea, but Chelsea are £1 billion squad. Wolves aren't. So it's a shame it's away, like you say. A home draw would have been nicer to fill it with our own fans, but I'm sure we'll sell out away and bring them on.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, because it's away, if we don't win, it lessens the blow as well. Because if we get them at home, you're going to be kicking ourselves if we don't get through, because it's a great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also, it's an hour up the road, which is brilliant. So, it'd be great celebrating, or you can just quickly get home if it goes the other way. I'm not... and it's a good stadium. And I think they will give us 4,500. That's the talk, because they give you the whole bottom stand all the way along the touchline, which would be brilliant if they do that. I was talking to my mate who's a Wolves fan. It's amazing how many Wolves fans pop up and start messaging me. I'm getting fans asking me for tickets as if I'm some sort of ticket tout, and I'm getting Wolves fans telling me how much they're going to hammer us. So it's great, isn't it?
My cousin's a Wolves fan, so we're going to have a bit of family rivalry over that game.
It'd be interesting. We've got a comment here from Assassins Unite. Wolves aren't amazing. We definitely have a fighting chance. I agree. But it's going to be a lot tougher than some people think. Definitely. Steve Price, 3 games in 8 days is going to be tough, especially away to an informed West Bromwich Albion tomorrow. We'll definitely talk about that in just a moment. That's from your dad. You need to have a word with your dad, Jack. He remembers those two, Cloud. He was talking about the Sky Blue girls on the back of the programmes, I think.
maybe he means the away days to the other teams.
What my dad used to do was, I don't know if you remember, they had the supporters club underneath the Sky Blue stand back in the day at Highfield Road. And we used to go in there and he used to sit me in the corner with a Coke and the programme. And they used to play cards and all sorts. And it was smoke filled. I mean, how I'm not coughing my guts up all the time, I don't know, because it was typical 70s sort of club, atmosphere. And with the programme, and at 7 or 8, you're not going to notice the Sky Blue girl on the back of the page, are you? But when as you know, I've got this huge programme collection, and I was going through it, and I realised that actually they weren't local girls at all. I mean, Olivia Newton-John was one of them.
No way.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John. There's loads of other models as well, the proper models. It wasn't, I don't think people probably realised at the time, and they called them Sky Blue Babes or Sky Blue Girl. And then, Vicky and Hannah, you must remember the Sky Blue crew.
Yeah.
With the
Was it
pom-pom.
Sky Blue Bells, the cheerleaders?
Sky Blue Bells, that's it.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
a crew for a while. There was a Sky Blue crew as well for a while in the late 90s, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, so the Dancing Girls, which is a Sky thing. But they still have them at Crystal Palace, don't they? It's a big thing at Palace.
They must be the only ones, because there was a while when everyone had them, right? I remember on Sky it was a thing, but it just seemed to fade out.
It cropped up on my TikTok the other day that the Palace people that do it, they're the only ones. For certain in the Premier League, I doubt any other team do it in the Football League either, so they're probably the only ones.
I mean, I used to think at the time, they look frozen. I mean, in the middle of winter, it's just thinking, poor girls, what are they doing?
It was never great, was it?
I know. We've got a comment here from Craig Robinson. It seems we are Blackburn's feeder club, looking at their manager, Hyam Fads Ayari. How good was Ayari for Blackburn, plus their manager, John Eustace, too? I thought, I've got to say, Fads had Isaac in his back pocket.
Yeah.
It was an incredible performance. And you kind of think, well, did we let them go too early? I don't know. It just seems weird. And as for Hyam, it's just so frustrating. I know he missed the penalty, but you just know this season he wouldn't have been sold, would he? If King had come in sooner last season, he wouldn't have been sold, would he?
I know that made me sad when I was watching him, because I'm still gutted that he went, and I was watching him thinking, that makes me sad.
Put yourselves in Hyam's shoes, though. I know the bid was accepted, so he gets to talk to Blackburn. At the time, they looked a more progressive team. They were building something that looked playoff bound. We were rock bottom, having had to cancel home games. I'm sure they'd have paid him more money than we were. Why would you say no at that point in time? I know, retrospect and all that, hindsight. Why at that point? Why would you say no? Fair play to him for going. I know we don't like it, but I think it was inevitable if that was the case. I know we went on to be a playoff finalist and they missed the playoffs. And even this season, we're far above them. So in retrospect, it was a stupid decision. But in the moment, it was the thing to do. A very clever decision at the time.
I mean, in fairness, they self-imploded in the last game, didn't they?
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, really, they were, I thought they were going to. And of course, our Ben Wilson scoring that goal, which last season as well, which helped, didn't it? But yeah, I mean, if someone's going to triple, quadruple your wages, if I can do the same job, if anyone's listening out there, he wants somebody to manufacture staircases and wants to quadruple my wages, I'd happily go. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You know, because you're doing the same thing, aren't you? You're just playing football at the end of the day. You know,
Same
I
level
suppose
as
the thing
well.
is, though, with Doug
But
King
it-
have been here, players probably wouldn't have been sniffing around our players so much, would they? I think that we look like the sort of team where you could come in and nick our players because we were in a bit of a mess. So that I mean, whether Blackburn would have been sniffing around if it hadn't been for that, I don't know.
well, it just feels like we needed the cash, and they touted a couple of players, didn't they? And
Yeah.
Blackburn went, yeah, we'll have him, which is just, yeah, it's just not great,
If
is
I
it?
remember rightly, they were sniffing around him earlier in the same window, and we rejected it. But when the pitch problem happened and we had to fund the pitch, we approached Blackburn and we said he's now available if you're still interested, and they snapped him up.
For less than the original offer.
Well, I don't know about the figures, but
That
I
was
just
the
remember
rule,
reading
wasn't
that.
it?
So this is a comment coming in from Steve Price. FA Cup Team of the Week had Sims and Haaland up front. Palmer and De Bruyne behind them would be our dream team. Bobby Thomas also made it. That's brilliant, isn't it? I like that. And this is a comment from underage Cov fan. Was that underage? It's, your average Cov fan. That sounds no Cunha and Charm for Wolves, who are big key players. A team that has lost to Sheffield United, arguably the poorest side in the Premier League, beatable. Jekyll and Hyde side, lose at home to Brentford, beat Chelsea away. I think, to be honest, there's a group of teams in the Premier League that are in the mid-table area, and that's what they do, don't they? It is. It's just. It's I suppose it's similar to the Championship. It was great to hear Jurgen Klopp describe the Championship as a brilliant league, which is nice to hear, because I feel like we do get ignored. I mean, once we leave the Championship, I won't care about it, to be honest. But at the minute, you know what I mean? It's a brilliant league to be in. So, moving on to the Championship, West Brom. Vicky, is it a must-win match?
Oh no! I mean, it'd be good if we can at least get a point. I don't think it's must-win. I don't really believe in that. I think that the swings and roundabouts throughout the season. I don't think. I mean, like in a cup competition, it obviously is must-win. I think in the league, these things balance out, and we could lose to West Brom tomorrow and then go and win like 5 games in a row or something, and then it wouldn't have mattered, would it? So you never know, really.
So, I mean, Jack, would you take a draw now?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a good record at West Brom, even at home. We don't have a good record against them. So a draw away against a team who are 5th, why would you say no to that? That would be a good result. I think we piled so much pressure on ourselves against Preston to say it was, we were going for the win. It was a must-win game. I feel like the pressure then rolls on to this game. It shouldn't, because we're away, a very good team who we've got a bad record against. So a draw would be good, in my opinion.
I remember last season we picked up some draws, didn't we, where we were saying we don't know how important it is till the end of the season.
Yeah.
And this is one of those where if you draw, you keep them close, don't you? I mean, Carlos Corberán is, we haven't got a West Brom fan on tonight because they're obviously too busy. But he's a good tactician. They don't play expansive football. So I think it's going to be a really tight game. And he won't give a lot away either. So it'd be interesting. I mean, our record there, for those who want to know, we've only won twice since 1982 in the league. We've won a couple of cup matches. I think the last time we won there in the league, as somebody pointed out last night, was 2007, I think. Before that, 1982. So, it's a bit of a shocker, isn't it? Hannah, do you think it could be any different tomorrow?
I mean, on the day, anything, but I agree with these two. I think a draw would be a good result at this point. And also, there's still enough of the season left, I think, for it not to be must win. And I agree, it could still balance out. So I think a draw would be good after the Preston game. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, personally, I feel it's the same for any Championship side. You can beat anybody in your day. You've seen,
Definitely.
I think we've forgotten that Rotherham beat us this season. And they are.
Got it. I was there.
They're awful. They're just the worst team ever. I remember at the time we did the show, and I'm saying that I think may have had the Rotherham fan on. I'm going, you've got the worst squad in the league. You're this, you're that. You've recruited terribly, and they beat us.
He was agreeing with you as well, Claudia, wasn't he? He wasn't.
He
He
was.
said that they were the worst team, and they still beat us.
And you just, I thought that's just us all over in it at times. So
Yeah.
I'm just hoping we go there, forget about the cup draw and all the rest of it, and just, I mean, this is the kickback from the Preston game, really, isn't it? Not the Maidstone. This is where we got to show something.
Yeah.
You know, and basically come away with something. I think a draw. I'll take a draw, definitely take a draw. I mean, do you think? I mean, are we still looking at top six? Is it still realistic? What do you think, Jack? Do you think we can?
Yeah, it's realistic. I mean, you look at the Stoke game we lost last year. It was 4-0 at home, and we all said that's it. We've given up on the playoffs. We then drew 3 out of 4 games after that, and still made the playoffs. This year, we've got 2 more games till the end of the season since that Stoke game, I think, if memory serves me well. So why not? We're 4 points behind Hull. We've got to play them at home. We're 5 points behind West Brom, who we play tomorrow. So we win both of those games, and all of a sudden we're 5th, and they're the ones saying that a draw would be good away from home. Anything can happen, or like Hannah said, anyone can beat anyone on their day. So it's reachable. Whether it's realistic or not, I don't know. We said the same last year, and look what happened. So keep the faith. We'll get there.
Do you agree with Jack, Hannah? Do you think it's a possibility?
I think it's a definite possibility. I mean, if you look at where we were in like end of October, November time, and then the run that we put together, okay, like the Preston game was a big setback if you want to look at it like that. But I think it's more than realistic. There's still a lot of games to be played. Other people are going to slip up. It's so tight around that area. It always is. And it probably will go right to the end again, I think.
Yeah, I mean, personally, yes. I mean, Vicky's probably going to say the same. That it's obviously we've got a chance. We're still in there, aren't we? Yeah, and I just cannot believe the way the club's shaping up, to be honest, from what we were 7 years ago. It's just incredible. I mean, as a fan, it's the best I can remember. I keep saying it most weeks for years and years and years. I mean, you could say the mid-90s were quite good, wasn't they, when we had, the sort of the sexy football we used to play in the mid to late 90s, but we never just get anywhere, really, did we? We still struggled
every season, though, pretty much for a while.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was all about, wasn't it? And we had some wonderful players in the 90s, and but I look at it now and I think this is really good. This is, I enjoy going up to watch the team play. Where years ago you did it because you just did it. You felt like you had to go. You couldn't give it up. It was like a drug you couldn't get off. Like the worst drug ever. I mean, now it's full. It's like the best drug. It's like the best thing ever. It's like this feels like you're going somewhere. And I just feel that we've got such a, with the ownership we got now, the fan base, which is, I think, fantastic at the minute. It's the best. 87 was great because we won the cup, and to be honest, we had gates of 11,000, and we had 20,000 by the end of the season, and by the end of the following season, we were back down to 16,000. We're getting tremendous gates. We're getting kids, young kids, and I'm going to come on to you now, Hannah, because what I have noticed in the last 10 years is the increase of women and girls going to football matches, and it's almost like dads and parents thinking, it's okay to take my daughter to a game now, and you see a lot more young girls going. I just think it's fantastic, and and this is the fan base now. It's the future, isn't it? I mean, it must. I mean, do you find it's a lot better now for women to attend matches? I mean, are the facilities better now as well? Because years ago, I mean, you had to go to the toilet at home, and then you waited till you got home to go again because you wouldn't use the loos at the football ground. I don't know what it's like now because obviously I don't go in the ladies, but. Although, sorry, I'd say that I accidentally once did at the CBS. I know. I forgot what block I was in, and I ran. Normally, you run down the stairs, and the gents are in front of you. And I ran down. I went in. I thought, oh, cubicles, and ran back out again. I've just confessed on telly, haven't I, live? So, Hannah, have things improved in that respect?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just because football has become more accessible for girls in general. Because if you think about it, like where a lot of love of football can begin is if you play football at like grassroots level, and like the fact that girls are playing football in school. I've never played football, which people always find really weird. I mean, I've virtually like never kicked a ball because girls just didn't do that. It was just because I started to see football on TV and I actively was like, I really want to go to a game. But I think now it's much more, people are more pushing girls into playing football, which in turn obviously means they're more likely to watch football, then they're more likely to want to go to live games. And that can only be a good thing. The same as more, young people in general going. I think that's a really good point that you hit upon there. Like if we're encouraging a younger fan base, that's the fan base of the future, isn't it? And look at the gate against Maidstone. That's fantastic. And it is really encouraging to see, and it does feel like we're building something, I think, at the moment.
Do you feel the same, Vicky? Because
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was the same when I was at school. We didn't play football at school when I was at school. I loved football. I've got a brother that's a year younger than me, so we used to have a kickabout in the park and stuff. And we used to play football once a year on International Women's Day. They used to let us play football, and it just shows how things have changed. It's crazy, isn't it? And but the rest of the time I had to play netball, which I absolutely hated. I wanted to play football, but there just was not the opportunity. So I love to see the opportunities for, with a bit of jealousy, because I wish I was young again. But I love to see the opportunities that young girls are getting these days to actually play and enjoy football for themselves. And you definitely see more families, more like women of different generations at games than you did. I mean, like I said, even back in the 90s, I never felt out of place at Coventry. I think we were a progressive club in that perspective, but there are definitely more now, even more now than there were then. So it's good, and that means that families can go together. And it becomes like a family occasion, and then that just goes through generation, and that's a fan base for years, isn't it? Because then they have kids, they take their kids, it just becomes a family tradition that you go, and then once you suck it in, you can't give it up, can you? Like you said, it's a drug. So once they've got you in, there's no getting out of it.
well, when I was at school, I played football, and all the girls played hockey, and of course, and then I spent up to my 30s, late mid-30s, playing football, and then I've been playing hockey for the last 25 years, which is a thing you didn't do at school. Well, the school I went to anyway. So it's interesting. I mean, football was just not available to girls at all. Yeah. So what about you, Jack?
Well, at school, they forced me.
No, you happy with the facilities?
Oh, yeah, I suppose. There's a big metal sheet that you can wee against. That'll do me.
Let's get some comments up. Got Steve Price. Agree with Claudio. We're on the up. We were a basket case with Sisu. Now look sensible club with long-standing manager, excellent selling and buying of players. This is from Craig Robinson, Gregory's Girl. Anyone remember the movie? I do, actually. That's got the lead singer of Altered Images in it. The name will come to you in a minute. Got Sky Blue Sam. Think Easter fixtures are key. 2 games in 4 days. 6 points would change the picture for us. It's it's Sky Blue Sam.
That used to be a back in the sort of 90s and early 2000s. That used to be like a relegation saver, didn't it? More than once we got enough points over Easter to save our season. And I always remember that it is a key sort of fixture time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad to think we were clear relegation a month ago.
Yeah.
It's just Sky Blue Sam. Hull have Preston, Leicester have Leeds in the next 5 games. Hull are playing Preston the weekend, aren't they? Actually,
and they have us.
Yeah. So it's
CBS.
Yeah, it can quickly change. Oh yeah, Steve Price. You're right. It was Claire Grogan who was in Gregory's Girl. From Sky Blue Sam again. 5-6 points this week keeps us up in the playoff hunt. West Bromwich Albion still have to play Sunderland, Preston, Leicester, and teams at the bottom scrapping for points. So
That's a good point. You often think about playing each other and how we can pick up points against each other, but the teams that are fighting for their lives often tend to pick up points from about now, from March onwards. So they could be. We got to play Rotherham, haven't we? I don't know about the rest.
Yeah, I mean, there will be freak results. There just will be where, you know, hopefully it won't be Rotherham against us. I'm going to put up again, spot the ball, and let people have another go at it.
Does that mean there is more than one?
Miles says, don't say.
Right. That means yes, then. There could be a number of balls there.
Yeah.
I mean, any of those numbers that are in that quartet of players to sort of halfway up the half, there could be three balls in there.
Yeah. Miles is doing a sneaky one again.
It definitely is. Hannah, you've got, I believe, a new role because you're the campaign manager for the Fans for the Diversity campaign. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. At the Football Supporters Association, I just started in January, at the end of January.
So, and I suppose I'm going to be devil's advocate. And the question you hear a lot is about diversities. Why can't we just stick to football? So, how do you respond to that question?
I mean, I think it is very much sticking to football because, like, everyone who loves football knows that football is the best thing ever. So why wouldn't we just want more people to be able to experience that? I think it is actually about sticking to football. I think it's about making football open to more people, but it's definitely not about making it less open to the people that have always gone. Definitely not for me. I think it's about just making more people be able to enjoy how amazing football is. Like, you know, when some crazy games happening and everyone's on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, like experiencing that together, and there's nothing like that really. And then when you watching your team even going to the playoff final, for us, despite the horrible result, like getting to have that experience with your friends and family is really special. So why wouldn't we want more people to be able to experience that? And why wouldn't we want more people just going to football in general?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I've read somewhere there's 65% people still have had abuse at grounds and things, which is quite sad, really. Because I mean, I did think we were moving on, but at times it feels like it hasn't moved on. I mean, when you look at what happened to Casey Palmer at Sheffield, and then when we had the fan on from Sheffield on our channel, who was almost trying to excuse what had happened because he felt Casey had enticed the crowd, but he enticed him to make racial gestures. That's just ridiculous. You know, it's there's no excuse. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, whether he was enticing the crowd or not, it doesn't justify what happened. If he was enticing the crowd, then as the crowd, you can entice him back. That's what we as fans do. We boo certain players, or we get on their backs if they've made a foul. That's just what we do. It doesn't entitle us to abuse them because of the color of their skin or any other thing. You know, whether the female, you know, we have female assistant referees as well. So, and you hear comments about that. It's not good. It's not right. It's not accepted in society, let alone football. So why it's more happening at football, I don't know. It's not right.
There's a comment from Dave McGee, and it says, I would love Cov City women team to develop and compete with the boring Arsenals, Man Cities of the world, PSB women's. And it's really weird because they've kind of, the new league they've created is, I think all the FAs around Europe have got together to try and contrive women's football teams, but with the big clubs, basically, to make it more sort of, I mean, fashionable for internationally, if that makes any sense. Because it feels like clubs like Reading, Doncaster Bells, who were around for years and years, have fallen by the wayside at because they're promoting teams like Man United. Liverpool never even had a team, from what I gather. They've sort of created these new teams because it falls in line with the men's Premier League, and you kind of feel surely they should have just let that develop naturally with the clubs that are already there. But I think it's all about money, isn't it? It's promoting these big clubs basically. But yeah, I would love to see. I mean, I don't think Coventry City, have we actually got a women's team? I don't think we have. Have we?
It's
United, but it's totally separate. I think, is it not?
It's separate, isn't it? So it's a question from Skyblue Sam. What can fans do to help the LGBTQ community feel welcome at games?
Well, actually, like there is a Coventry City LGBTQ plus supporters group called the Proud Sky Blues, and I've been doing a bit of work with them recently through my role at the FSA, and they invited me to be in the Puma Rainbow Ball promo film as an ally, which I don't know if you know, but there was a week where all the matches were played with a rainbow ball, and Puma made a donation to a LGBTQ plus fans fund. So I think their membership has really grown since then. So I think they're doing a lot of great work in that space, and they've been in touch with the club as well. I think, I'm not the expert on diversity, but I think it's like being an ally and, calling out things if it's safe to do so, because obviously you have to protect your own safety as well. But maybe if you hear homophobic chanting and there's a way to just gently kind of say, knock it off, or being an ally so that people know that they are welcome in the ground, could be one way.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to my son about this from the incident with Casey Palmer. So if it was one of our fans doing that, would we step in? Because you just don't know, do you? The person who's doing the gestures or shouting abuse, you just don't know who they are, what they're going to do. You don't know if you're going to get protected. Then it's very difficult, isn't it? I mean,
but we are seeing increased reporting in place, which I think is a positive. And clubs are starting to display those numbers and things around. So I think hopefully we are seeing, because it's completely understandable. Like also as a woman, I don't know, I can't say for sure if I was in that situation that I would say, because like you say, you don't know if that person's been drinking a lot of alcohol or but so I think the reporting, we work a lot with Kick It Out, is a way of people potentially safely being able to report things in the moment as they happen.
Have you any thoughts, Vicky, on that?
I think that's the best way, isn't it? That then it can be dealt with appropriately by people who can safely deal with that, and it's the only way, isn't it? If people keep on reporting and saying this isn't acceptable at our club, if they hear anything, it's the only way to nip it out, that people just know you're not welcome if you're going to bring that type of abuse to the club. We won't accept it as a fan base, and that's the way to get rid of it, by people reporting, let it be dealt with. And it is difficult, isn't it? I mean, I know that I went to Millwall away this season, and one of the very few times that I've actually been slightly embarrassed, because there was a group of lads sat behind me that were chanting abuse at the female lineswoman. And that made me feel really uncomfortable. But I didn't feel that as a woman, and I would go with a female friend, so I didn't feel as two females, that we could turn around and challenge a group of lads who had clearly been drinking about what they were doing. And so the ability to report that to somebody safely is the next best option, really, isn't it?
It's interesting, because when I played hockey, we have female umpires doing men's games. And the respect is no different. You know what I mean? It's just exactly the same. It's the umpire. And we used to find, the women officials were far better than the men, to be honest. We used to like having the women officiating our games. And, so it's really strange. I mean, at the end of the day, You just need to know the laws of the game, don't you? It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what sex you are.
That's it. As long as you know the rules, that's all that matters, isn't it?
Exactly. So I'll read these comments out, and then we'll get our predictions for the game. So this is Sky Sam. Agree. There's definitely interesting a Cov ladies team from Cov United ladies. Sky Sam, Cov City ladies play ladies football, but at a very low level in comparison with Cov United ladies and the likes of Arsenal.
I think we're actually at a final soon. I'm sure that I saw on social media that the Coventry City ladies are at some sort of local final. Someone might know more about that. But I mean, at their level, they're doing quite well by the sounds of it.
In Pimlott, Coventry City ladies were one of the top teams in the Premier League days, but Sisu let them go from the CCFC brand. Wow. Yeah.
Shocking.
Are you surprised? Cov ladies have been around for more than 50 years in one form or another. I remember the ladies training at Radford Community Centre back in the late 60s and early 70s. That's from Paul Cuttiford. I mean, you have to remember, ladies football was banned for 50 years in this country. From 1921 to about 1971. How can you possibly ban? How can you ban it? I just don't understand that. It's just it almost reminds me of that sketch with Harry Enfield. I don't know if you remember it, where the old duffers all sat around a table and they're talking about politics, and they've got the wives sat in between, and one of the wives speaks up and says something, and they're going, "Oh no, she surely must mean she wants to talk about puppies and kittens." And it feels like that, doesn't it? It really does. I mean, they're being satirical, and I'm thinking that's real life, isn't it? In some respects, it's a bit frightening. Got a question here. Oh yes, Hannah, what's your next project that Hannah's involved in?
Well, in my role at the Football Supporters Association, obviously we have lots of projects going on. So quite a lot of stuff going on for International Women's Day next week, panel event at Wimbledon and other things. And then on the writing side of things, I'm working on an opera at the moment, which is inspired by the history of Arsenal in the munitions factories of Woolwich and the suffragettes. It's set in 1913. So I'm working on that at the moment and a couple of other things.
That sounds.
You sing opera? Would you sing opera, or was that for someone else?
No, my performing days are actually over now. So no, I'm writing the libretto, and I've co-created it with my creative partner, who's an opera director. But we will be getting suitably qualified people to perform in the opera.
Oh wow!
So Craig Robinson has asked me, so Claudia, English fish and chips. Well, lasagna is my favourite dish. So yeah, there you go. And I make a mean lasagna. I was kind of thinking, Hannah, Hannah, you saying your mum's Indian and your dad's Scottish. I think you got off lightly there, because at least you probably had some decent food to eat. No, yeah, if that had been the other way around, it'd be dreadful, wouldn't it? Fried Mars bar, whatever they had.
Going back to your England and Italy, Claudio, did you see that the Lionesses beat Italy women 5-1 yesterday?
I don't follow women's football, so I didn't see that. No, I did see it. Yeah, it was a bit like I expected that. So
well done, Jack.
let's get our predictions then. Vicky, what do you think for tomorrow night?
2-2 all.
2-2. I'll take that. Come to you, Jack.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried, but I'm going to say 1-1.
1-1. Hannah, what do you think?
Yeah, that was mine as well. 1-1.
1-1. We're all going for draws, aren't we? We're on. It's live on Sky, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're going to ramp it up and say it's going to be a fantastic game, and I reckon it could be a dour 0-0. You know, I want Robbins to go out there and stink the place out.
I've got a feeling we might sort of line up like we did at Leeds, quite defensive. I'm not saying personnel-wise, but strategically line up fairly defensively and maybe go for sort of damage limitation, a bit like we did at Leeds. We come away with a point. So that's where my thinking is for the game.
Yeah, I think it'd be tight. They don't give a lot away. We don't give a lot away. I mean, we do find the back of the net though. So, but I'll still stick with the 0-0. Right then, spot the ball. Let me get it up. They're the balls. And are you ready for this?
How many are there?
He's very cruel, is Miles.
There's 4 of them.
There's 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, only one person guessed 4 balls. That was Paul Cuttyford, but he hasn't got the right 4. So
I don't see why Miles would put up such a complicated one and then run away for the evening. So.
Yes. Well, we'll be back on a Sunday night where we'll be talking about a famous victory at the Hawthorns and how we were all very cautious. And I would like to say thank you to Hannah for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you on. Fascinating, all the stuff you're doing. It's absolutely brilliant. And hopefully people watching and others watching in the future, this program will come along and support your ventures. Basically, that'd be fantastic. And real pleasure to have you on.
Thank you,
Jack. Pleasure as always.
Thank you. Enjoy coming on.
This might be a regular thing.
We'll see. I enjoy it, so it'd be nice to come back.
Brilliant. And of course, Vicky, obviously part of the team, so it's always good having you on, isn't it? And so it's a goodbye from us, a play up Sky Blues, and come on the City.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.